What if I told you that one of the strangest looking animals on Earth is also one of the most brilliantly adapted? An animal whose heart must fight gravity every second of its life, whose brain can rise more than 5 meters above the ground, whose tongue can reach nearly half a meter, whose newborn enters the world with a dramatic fall, and whose peaceful appearance hides enough strength to make even a lion think carefully before attacking. This is the giraffe. But forget, for a moment, everything you think you know about it. Because the giraffe is much more than a long neck and spotted skin. Its unusual body creates problems that most other mammals never have to face. How do you pump blood all the way to a brain located so high above the heart? How do you suddenly lower that brain toward the ground without dangerous changes in blood pressure? How do you drink when your legs are so long that your mouth cannot simply reach the water? How do you run with a body that seems almost too tall to balance? How does a newborn survive when its first experience of the world can literally be a fall to the ground? And why would an animal ever need a neck this long? Stay until the end, because the deeper we look into the giraffe, the harder it becomes to see it as simply another animal. There is a remarkable harmony between its height, heart, blood vessels, bones, muscles, tongue, legs, and behavior. And when we finally put all of those pieces together, the giraffe leaves us with a question much bigger than the animal itself. A question about life, about creation, and about whether we still know how to truly see the wonders standing right in front of us. Imagine standing beside a full-grown male giraffe. You would have to look upward, and then farther upward, and perhaps farther still. Large males can approach 6 meters in height. That means a giraffe can tower over a person and look into places that would require us to climb several meters above the ground. It is the tallest living land animal on Earth. But height is not merely an impressive statistic. For the giraffe, height shapes almost every part of life. It determines how the animal eats, how it drinks, how it fights, how it runs, how its cardiovascular system works, even how it sleeps. Its entire existence is built around proportions that seem almost extreme. The legs alone are extraordinarily long, and above them rises the feature that has made the giraffe famous throughout the world: its neck. A giraffe's neck can approach 2 meters in length. You might imagine that such an enormous neck must contain many more bones than ours. But here comes one of the first surprises. Like humans and most other mammals, giraffes normally have only 7 cervical vertebrae. 7. The difference is that the giraffe's individual neck vertebrae are enormously elongated. So nature did not simply keep adding more and more vertebrae. Instead, the same basic mammalian pattern became dramatically stretched. And that creates both extraordinary opportunities and extraordinary problems. Why have such a long neck? For generations, people have looked at giraffes feeding high in trees and assumed the explanation was simple. A long neck allows them to reach food other animals cannot. And there is certainly truth in that. Giraffes can browse vegetation well above the feeding height of many competing herbivores. When conditions become difficult and food closer to the ground is heavily used, access to higher leaves can become especially valuable. But the story is more complicated. The neck also plays an important role in competition between males. Male giraffes engage in a remarkable behavior often called necking. 2 males may stand beside each other, swing their long necks and strike one another with their heads. At first it can almost look slow and controlled. Then comes the impact. The head becomes something like a heavy hammer at the end of a long lever. A powerful strike can be extremely forceful. These contests can help establish dominance and influence access to females. So the giraffe's neck is not simply a feeding tool. It is involved in competition, movement, social behavior, observation of the environment, and survival. But making a neck this long creates a major engineering challenge. And that challenge begins with blood. The heart that must fight gravity. Place your hand on your chest for a moment. Your heart is pumping blood through your body right now. You do not have to think about it. You do not have to command it. It simply continues, beat after beat. But imagine if your brain were located several meters above your heart. Every heartbeat would have to move blood upward against gravity. That is essentially the problem faced by a giraffe. Its heart must generate enough pressure to maintain adequate blood flow to a brain positioned extraordinarily high above it. The giraffe therefore has a powerful cardiovascular system and blood pressure substantially higher than that of humans. Its heart is large and muscular. But simply producing high pressure is not enough, because high pressure creates another danger. Blood vessels must withstand it. The walls of the cardiovascular system must be suited to the forces acting upon them. And circulation must remain controlled throughout the enormous vertical distance of the animal's body. Already, the giraffe becomes much more interesting. But now comes an even stranger problem. The giraffe must drink. The most dangerous glass of water. Watch a giraffe approaching water. For most animals, drinking looks simple. Lower the head. Drink. Walk away. For a giraffe, it becomes an awkward operation. Its legs are so long that simply bending the neck is not always enough. The animal often spreads its front legs apart or bends them so its head can reach the water. Suddenly, the tallest animal on land has placed itself in one of its most vulnerable positions. Its head is down. Its legs are spread. Its ability to react instantly is reduced. A predator does not need to understand anatomy to recognize opportunity. But there is an invisible challenge happening inside the giraffe as well. Seconds earlier, its brain was high above the heart. Now the head has moved dramatically downward. If blood pressure were allowed to change uncontrollably, such a movement could create serious physiological problems. Yet giraffes possess adaptations that help regulate circulation during these changes in position. Then the animal raises its head again. Once more, blood must continue reaching the brain despite gravity. Down, up, down, up, throughout its life. And it works so naturally that unless someone explains what is happening, we may never even notice. That is one of the extraordinary things about nature. Some of its greatest engineering problems are solved so quietly that they look effortless. A tongue built for a difficult menu. Now look at the giraffe eating. Its favorite restaurant does not exactly offer comfortable dining. Many of the trees giraffes browse, including acacias and related thorny plants, are heavily defended. Branches can carry sharp thorns. Yet the giraffe reaches toward them without hesitation. One of its secret weapons is its tongue. A giraffe's tongue can measure roughly 45 centimeters or even longer. It is extremely flexible and capable of curling around leaves and vegetation. The giraffe carefully manipulates branches and strips away food. Its lips also help it feed selectively among defensive vegetation. If you have ever accidentally touched a sharp thorn, imagine having to eat around hundreds of them every day. Yet the giraffe's mouth is remarkably suited to this environment, and its tongue often has a dark coloration. Scientists have proposed that this pigmentation may help protect the tongue during prolonged exposure to sunlight while feeding, although the precise significance should not be overstated. Still, consider the complete picture. The height gets the giraffe to the food. The neck extends its reach. The tongue selects it. The lips help manipulate it. The teeth process it. And the digestive system takes over. One adaptation connects with another. A life built on leaves. Giraffes are ruminants. Like cattle and several other herbivores, they possess a specialized digestive system that allows them to obtain nutrients from fibrous plant material. Food can be swallowed, partially processed, brought back up as cud and chewed again. It may not sound glamorous, but biologically, it is remarkable. A leaf contains energy that humans cannot efficiently extract in the same way. The giraffe lives in partnership with microorganisms inside its digestive system that help break down plant material. So even inside this enormous animal exists another hidden world. Microscopic organisms participating in digestion. An ecosystem within an animal living inside a larger ecosystem. Layer upon layer. Life supporting life. The pattern that is more than beautiful. Now look at the giraffe's coat. Golden brown patches separated by lighter lines create one of the most recognizable patterns in the animal kingdom. At first, it seems decorative, but the pattern can also provide camouflage. Among trees, branches, shadows, and broken sunlight, those patches can help disrupt the outline of the animal. And individual giraffes have distinctive coat patterns. Like fingerprints in humans, the exact arrangement can help researchers identify particular animals. Scientists studying wild populations can photograph individuals and recognize them later. That allows researchers to follow their lives. Where they travel. Who they associate with. Which females have calves. Which animals survive from year to year. A pattern that looks like simple beauty becomes a kind of natural identity card. And underneath those patches lies another fascinating aspect of the giraffe's biology. Research suggests the skin and underlying blood vessel arrangements may also participate in thermoregulation, helping the animal deal with heat. Again, appearance and function overlap. Can a giraffe really run? Looking at a giraffe standing still, you might expect it to be slow. Its body seems too tall. Its legs seem too thin. Its movements appear almost impossibly elegant. Then it starts running. A giraffe can move surprisingly quickly, reaching speeds around 50 to 60 kilometers per hour for short periods, depending on conditions and the individual. Watching one run is unforgettable. The long legs sweep across the ground. The neck moves in coordination with the body. And what looked awkward while standing becomes remarkably fluid in motion. But those legs are not merely for running. They are weapons. Powerful ones. When a lion chooses the wrong target, lions can prey upon giraffes. But attacking a healthy adult giraffe is dangerous. A giraffe can kick with enormous force. One well-placed blow can seriously injure or potentially kill a predator. And for a wild predator, injury can become a death sentence. A lion cannot visit a hospital. A damaged jaw, broken bone, or severe internal injury may mean it can no longer hunt. So predators must constantly calculate risk. Is the potential meal worth the danger? This changes the way we should see the giraffe. Gentleness does not mean helplessness. The giraffe does not need claws. It does not need enormous canine teeth. Its defense is already built into the body that carries it across the savannah. And yet perhaps the most vulnerable giraffe you will ever see is only minutes old. Birth begins with a fall. A pregnant giraffe carries her calf for roughly 15 months. Then comes one of nature's most dramatic births. The mother generally gives birth standing. The calf emerges and falls to the ground. For a human observer, the sight can be shocking. This newborn animal has just entered the world with a significant drop. But soon the calf begins moving. Then comes one of the most important struggles of its life. It must stand. Those legs that will one day carry a towering adult across the African landscape are now weak and uncertain. The calf pushes upward. Its legs tremble. It may collapse. Then it tries again. Imagine seeing the world for the first time and almost immediately being required to stand on legs that seem impossibly long. There is no long period of helplessness like we see in human babies. A giraffe calf must become mobile quickly. Predators exist. The herd moves. Survival does not wait. Eventually, the calf stands, then begins to walk. And before long, it can follow its mother. There is something deeply moving about that moment. A life only minutes old. Falling. Struggling. Standing. Trying again. Perhaps that is why scenes of newborn animals affect us so strongly. We recognize something familiar. Not the biology. The struggle. Life begins with weakness. Strength comes through movement, through repeated attempts, through falling and rising again. The quiet bond between mother and calf. For the young giraffe, its mother is protection, nourishment, and guidance. Female giraffes can form social associations, and calves may sometimes remain together in nursery-like groups while adults are nearby. The social lives of giraffes were once described as relatively simple. Modern research has revealed something richer. Giraffe societies can contain long-term associations, changing group memberships and complex relationships. Individuals separate and reunite. Females may maintain bonds. Age, sex, reproductive condition, and environment can influence how groups form. The giraffe may appear silent and distant to us, but its social world is not empty, and neither is its communication. The animal we once thought was almost silent. For a long time, giraffes had a reputation for being nearly voiceless. They certainly do not roar like lions or trumpet like elephants. But giraffes can produce sounds. Researchers have documented vocalizations including low-frequency sounds, grunts, and other noises. Some observations have even described humming-like vocalizations at night. There is still much to learn about exactly how giraffes communicate and what different sounds mean. And perhaps that is part of their fascination. Even an animal humans have watched for centuries can still hold secrets. We live in an age of satellites, genetic sequencing, and powerful microscopes, yet the animals walking beside us can still surprise us. How does a giraffe sleep? Now imagine being a giraffe at night. Lying down creates vulnerability. Standing back up with such enormous legs takes time and coordination. Predators may be nearby. So giraffes often sleep for relatively short periods compared with humans, and may rest while standing or lying down. When they enter deeper sleep while lying down, they can curl their long necks and rest the head against the body. The sight almost seems impossible. The towering animal folds itself into a resting position. For us, sleep can mean 8 hours of relative safety. For many wild animals, sleep is a compromise. The body needs rest. But the environment does not stop being dangerous. Seeing the world from above. The giraffe's height gives it another advantage. Vision. From several meters above the ground, a giraffe can survey a large area. Its large eyes are positioned high on the head, providing excellent awareness of its surroundings. This can help detect predators at a distance. And other animals may benefit too. On the African savanna, animals often pay attention to one another. When one species suddenly becomes alert, others may notice. The giraffe becomes part of a network of awareness. One animal sees. Another reacts. A herd moves. Birds rise. Predators adjust. The ecosystem is not a collection of isolated creatures. It is a web of relationships. The strange horns on its head. Look closely at a giraffe's head and you will notice structures that resemble small horns. These are called arsicones. Both males and females generally possess them, although their appearance can differ. Unlike the horns of cattle, giraffe arsicones develop from cartilage that later ossifies and becomes fused with the skull. In males, these structures can become more prominent with age and fighting. Again, even the giraffe's head carries evidence of its life history. The animal changes. It matures. It competes. Its body records parts of the story. The giraffe is not one simple story. For many years, people often spoke of the giraffe as though all giraffes belonged to one uniform population. But genetic research has revealed a more complicated picture. Scientists continue to debate exactly how giraffes should be classified into species and subspecies. Different populations across Africa show meaningful genetic and physical differences. This matters enormously for conservation. Because saying, there are giraffes in Africa, can hide the fact that particular populations may be declining or facing serious threats. Conservation is not merely about preserving an image called the giraffe. It is about protecting real populations living in real habitats. And those habitats are changing. The giant that needs our attention. It is difficult to imagine an animal this large simply disappearing. But size does not guarantee safety. Giraffes face threats including habitat loss, fragmentation, human population pressures, conflict, and illegal hunting in some regions. Different giraffe populations face different levels of risk. Some have recovered through conservation work. Others remain vulnerable. And this creates a painful contrast. Human beings can study the giraffe's heart, map its genes, photograph its coat, track it by satellite, explain how its neck functions, and still allow the landscapes it depends upon to disappear. Knowledge alone does not guarantee wisdom. Knowing that something is extraordinary is not the same as choosing to protect it. Stop and really look. And now we return to the giraffe itself. Imagine one standing beneath an African sunset. Its silhouette rises above the grass. The neck reaches toward the sky. The ears move slightly. The eyes scan the distance. Its heart beats inside its chest. Blood travels upward toward its brain. Its lungs expand. Its muscles make tiny adjustments to maintain balance. Its digestive system processes leaves. Its nervous system receives information from the world around it. Thousands upon thousands of biological processes happen simultaneously. And the giraffe knows nothing about our scientific vocabulary. It does not know that humans call its neck vertebrae cervical. It does not know the number we assign to its blood pressure. It does not know that scientists study its genes. It simply lives. And somehow, everything required for that life must work together. This is where information becomes wonder. Sometimes people imagine that understanding biology removes mystery. But perhaps the opposite is true. Knowing that a giraffe has a long neck is interesting. Understanding the cardiovascular challenge created by that neck makes it astonishing. Knowing that a giraffe eats leaves is ordinary. Watching its long tongue carefully navigate thorn-covered branches makes it extraordinary. Knowing that a calf is born is simple. Watching that newborn fall, struggle, stand and follow its mother transforms a fact into a story. The closer we look, the more there is to see. And for a person who believes in a creator, this can become something even deeper. Science can describe mechanisms. It can measure the heart, analyze the bones, study blood flow, compare genes, observe behavior. But faith asks another kind of question. Why does understanding these things awaken such wonder inside us? Why does beauty move us? Why does the sight of a newborn struggling to stand touch something deeper than curiosity? Why can we look at an animal millions of people have seen and still whisper, "How extraordinary!" Perhaps because creation is not boring. We have simply become accustomed to miracles we see every day. The creature we would never invent. Imagine that giraffes did not exist. Imagine no human being had ever seen one. And someone described this animal to you. I know of a mammal nearly 6 meters tall. Its neck is almost 2 meters long. It has only 7 neck vertebrae. Its heart generates enormous pressure to send blood upward. It eats among thorn-covered branches using a tongue almost 1/2 meter long. Its newborn falls to the ground at birth and soon attempts to stand. Adult males sometimes fight by swinging their necks like weapons. And despite its strange proportions, it can run at remarkable speed. Would you believe them? It sounds almost imaginary, like an animal invented for a fantasy world. Yet giraffes are real. They have been walking across Africa for thousands upon thousands of years. The extraordinary becomes ordinary only because we become familiar with it. And familiarity can be dangerous, because once something becomes familiar, we stop being amazed. Perhaps that is the real lesson. The giraffe teaches us something beyond zoology. We humans often believe wonder must be found somewhere far away, in another country, on another planet, at the bottom of the ocean, through a telescope. But sometimes wonder is standing beneath a tree, eating leaves, quietly. We see the neck and say, of course, that's a giraffe. But there is no of course about it. There is a heart working against gravity, a circulatory system regulating enormous pressure changes, bones supporting an extraordinary structure, muscles coordinating every movement, a tongue navigating thorns, eyes watching the horizon, legs capable of carrying a massive body at speed, a mother protecting her calf, a newborn learning to stand, a social life we are still trying to understand, and a genetic story science is still uncovering. All inside one animal. The final question. So before this video ends, I want you to imagine one final scene. The sun is disappearing over the African horizon. The sky turns gold. A mother giraffe walks slowly across the grass. Beside her is a calf. Its steps are still smaller, still less certain. The mother stops. The calf stops. For a moment, both are completely still. 2 living creatures beneath an enormous sky. No cameras. No laboratories. No textbooks. No human voices explaining what they are. Just life. Breathing. Moving. Existing. And perhaps somewhere in that silence is a message we desperately need to hear. We spend so much of our lives rushing, looking at screens, thinking about tomorrow, worrying about things we cannot control, passing trees without seeing them, hearing birds without listening, seeing animals without wondering. We have become surrounded by extraordinary things and learned to call them ordinary. But look at the giraffe again. Really look. Look at a creature whose heart must overcome gravity simply to keep its brain alive. Look at a neck that reaches into the treetops. Look at a tongue designed to gather food among thorns. Look at legs that appear impossibly delicate yet can carry an enormous body across the savannah. Look at the mother. Look at the newborn trying to stand. And ask yourself, how many wonders must surround us before we finally begin to wonder? For those who believe in God, the giraffe can become more than an interesting animal. It can become a reminder that creation contains details we may spend generations discovering. A reminder that what appears strange at first can reveal remarkable harmony when we look more closely. and a reminder that the works of the Creator do not become less astonishing when science explains them. They become more astonishing, because every answer reveals another question. Every discovery opens another door. Every detail invites us to look closer. Perhaps we will never understand everything about the giraffe. Perhaps we were never meant to. Perhaps part of the gift is simply being able to stand in awe. So the next time you see a giraffe, do not simply say, "What a long neck." Remember the heart beneath it. Remember the blood traveling upward. Remember the newborn falling and rising. Remember the mother watching. Remember the silent animal beneath the African sky. And remember this: the world has not run out of miracles. We have only become too distracted to notice them. The giraffe has been standing there all along. Silent. Graceful. Extraordinary. A living reminder that creation is filled with beauty, complexity, and purpose. And maybe tonight, when you look at the world around you, you will look a little longer. Because once we begin to truly see creation, even the familiar becomes breathtaking. And perhaps that sense of wonder is one of the greatest gifts the Creator has given us. Not only a world filled with extraordinary life, but eyes capable of seeing it, a mind capable of asking questions, and a heart capable of being moved by the answers. So don't stop looking. Don't stop asking. And never become so familiar with creation that you forget how extraordinary it is. And perhaps this is where the story of the giraffe becomes something more than a story about an animal. The longer we look at this extraordinary creature, the harder it becomes to see only a long neck, powerful legs, or a beautiful pattern. We begin to see how many details must work together for a single life to exist. A heart strong enough to send blood high above the ground. A circulatory system able to cope with dramatic changes in position. A tongue that reaches between thorns. A body capable of carrying such extraordinary height with grace. A newborn that enters the world, struggles to its feet, and soon begins walking beside its mother. One detail after another, quietly working together. And perhaps that is why creation can touch the human heart so deeply. Because when we slow down and truly observe it, nature no longer feels ordinary. For those who believe in a Creator, creatures like the giraffe can become a beautiful reminder of His wisdom. Not because we understand every mystery, but because the more we discover, the more there seems to be left to discover. The Creator could have filled this world with life that was simple and monotonous. And yet look around. The enormous elephant. The tiny bee. The eagle above the mountains. The creatures hidden beneath the ocean. And here, beneath the African sky, the giraffe, unlike anything else on earth. Different forms. Different abilities. Different ways of surviving. And each one carries a story worth discovering. Maybe this is one reason we should never lose our sense of wonder. We can become so familiar with creation that we stop noticing it. We see a giraffe and simply say, "That's a giraffe." But look again. Behind those few words is an entire living masterpiece. And if one creature can contain so many extraordinary details, imagine how much we still have not noticed in the rest of creation. So I would love to leave you with one question. When you look at the giraffe and everything we discovered about it today, what does it make you think about the wisdom of the Creator? Write your thoughts in the comments. I truly want to know what detail touched you or amazed you the most. And if you enjoy discovering animals not simply as creatures to look at, but as remarkable parts of the world God has given us, subscribe to the channel and continue this journey with us. There are still so many creatures waiting for us to look closer. So many mysteries to discover. So many reasons to be grateful. Because sometimes we do not need to search far away for something miraculous. Sometimes we only need to slow down, look more closely, and realize just how wonderfully this world has been made.